This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Ben Settle. Compulsively punchable.
He's the kind of guy who you'd probably just punch on the arm really hard if you ever met him.
Worshipped by feminists.
He pokes fun at feminism and women, just joking around, his whole sandwich making thing.
Mildly inspiring.
Yes, I recommend the Ben Settle Show, and anybody who isn't on it, that's their own loss.
Somewhat authentic.
Ben is a very distinct personality. There's no fluff. I can't stand fluff.
Syrupy sweet.
Tells it like it is, and sometimes may not be the most polite manner, shall we say.
Kind of useful.
So I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaching and masterminds, and I've learned more from Ben Settle's podcast than from any of that.
Semi-intelligent.
Ben sounds like a crazy guy at times, but he's one of the smartest individuals in marketing I've ever met.
Mostly forgettable.
He's always in the forefront of my mind.
The bensettle.com podcast begins now.
This is Ben Settle, the bensettle.com podcast, and from bensettle.com, in case that's not obvious, what my website is. Jonathan, I don't know how dense the listeners are. I really don't. How do I find you? What's your website? I don't know, man. I just work here. So we're gonna do another Q&A. I've reached into my giant sack and fondled it a little bit and pulled out some letters, some questions. And the first one, I might as well just jump. There's not going to be any build-up this time. John, the last couple episodes I've did all this build-up, and I started doing some tangents and all that before I started. And I know there's listeners who don't like that. They just, they're in this, just give me value mode as if they're paying me something, which they're not. And, they don't understand that they're here at my pleasure. I'm not here for their pleasure. You know what I mean? That this is why I don't really care if I go on tangents and if I get off subject and all that. It doesn't bother me at all, but it might bother some of the listeners. And I would say those listeners need to go find another podcast to listen to, because I'm not going to stop going on tangents like I'm doing now, Jonathan. I just said I was going to get right into it, and I went on this tangent.
Surprise.
Okay,
surprise.
But this is what we do at the bensettle.com podcast, all right? This is what we do. And I would recommend any of the shows at the podcastfactory.com. That many people on the roster there, they get right into it. They have way more respect for your time than I do. People like Doberman Dan and Dan Meredith and Igor, great people, very smart people, lots of value coming out of them from what I understand. I know Doberman Dan, that guy has been around for many, many years, not to make him sound old or anything, but I learned a lot of stuff. Every time I talk to Doberman Dan, I learn something new. So I would suggest you check their shows out. This is a no value show. I'm going to extend
no value
this
for you, sucker.
There's no value for you. I mean, last time we did kind of delve into some how-to stuff, but anyway, you're here at my pleasure. I'm not stuck here with you. You guys are stuck here with me. Okay. But you're free to leave. But I'll let them out, Jonathan. I will open the door and I will let them out and give them a nice swat on the ass out the door and tell them good luck. That I am generous like that. But if people think I'm just going to sit here and capitulate, there's a word, you know what it means, to their demands and, oh, Ben, your intro's too long, but I'm not paying you anything, so I think you should do it. You should cut it down for my snowflake sake and all that. Ain't going to happen, never going to happen, and was never even planned to happen. So there you go. Okay, I don't know how much I'm trying to get people to tell me no, Jonathan. This is like a whole new, I've talked about Jim Camp and all that and the no way of negotiation where you want people to tell you. I'm trying to get them to tell me no. I want people to be shutting their podcast off while they listen to this. Like while I'm talking, just to shut me up. And then I was silent for a second.
Yeah, it worked.
It worked. So anyway, we're going to get into some questions here. This first one is from one of my favorite email player subscribers because he's taken what I've taught and actually created a very similar lifestyle to what I have very quickly. And he did it without even buying the 10-minute workday. His name is Jeff Terry. And his question is, I really do want to know how to take the confidence I have in my business and apply that towards dating. I noticed for me, I have no issue talking about what I've built, my journey, and all that going from broke 2 years ago to 6 figures thanks to email players. But dating, girls fall asleep when I talk about that. And then he gives us an LOL with multiple L's. Maybe I bore them. I don't know. I suck at the dating game. Yes, Jeff, it sounds like you do kind of suck at the dating games.
I'm already bored.
But that's okay. Because that's why he's, it takes balls for him to come out and ask this, like with his full name and all that. So, I respect him. I really do. And I get where he's coming from. I really do. I understand this. And maybe this will make you feel better, Jeff. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I can tell you this. There's a very big company in the dating market. And I'm not going to name who they are because I don't know. I feel like I'd be giving some kind of proprietary information out here. It's not really that big of a deal, but I kind of understand. I'd rather just not name them. Okay. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it, Jonathan. I'm not naming this company. But I've known from several years now, one of their old copywriters. He's not a copywriter there anymore, but he was one of their chief copywriters. And him and I have had discussions about this because I've dabbled in the dating niche and all that. And he was telling me that the biggest part of their market that they sell to, it's not like these 20-year-old kids with the shaved chests and the smooth talkers who know all the right things to say. They're just looking for new tricks and all that, new one-liners to use at the bar and all that on some journalism major or something like that. It's not about that. Their market is people like in their 30s, up mid-30s, maybe a little older, who have become very successful. And it frustrates them that they can't get dates because shouldn't their success just automatically make them more attractive? And so, Jeff, my whole point is you're not like you're part of that market. Okay, this is, believe me, you're not the only one, and you have to understand that you're right. A lot of the people you're going after, okay, and I can already tell this that you're going after the wrong market. This would be my advice to you. You're talking to girls who like irrelevancy. Okay, they like things that are irrelevant. That's just what they are. They're probably very superficial. It's okay. It doesn't make them bad people or anything, but they're into irrelevancy. They're irrelevant themselves. That's just it. They like goofy stuff like that. Okay, they're not into you. Okay, first of all, you're probably too wise for the ones you're talking to. They don't want wisdom yet. They want fun right now. Okay, and you're not very fun talking about business and all that stuff. They're just not into it. That said, if I was you, and I often do, this is something I do myself. Is you should pursue girls who are already business owners. Now, a few weeks ago, I read a question and answered Monique's question. Like, she's in the same boat, but from the different side of the same coin. She's looking for a guy like you. Well, maybe I should hook these two up, Jonathan.
There you go, dating service.
Matchmaker El Bembo. So there are girls you want to sell to people who are sick, right? Like people are sick, but you want to sell something that people are buying. Okay. So you want to go after the girls that are buying guys like you who, they're impressed by this kind of, like they hear your story and they're like, oh, I mean, believe me, there are girls out there that will be like in awe of your story. Okay, because that's the kind of girls I go for. I don't go for the ones who like irrelevancy, who like can't think more than like past the next party they're going to and all that. You gotta go. I'm in the same boat, Jeff, in the sense that I go for this. I go for a specific kind, and I ignore the rest of them. Okay. The ones who like irrelevancy, they're just not worth your time. Let them go with irrelevant guys. You're not an irrelevant guy. You're a freaking, entrepreneur, a very successful one. You're living a 10-minute workday. Okay. There's a lot of girls that aren't going to like that. Okay, because for whatever reason, they don't find it appealing. There are some girls that will love it. Example, my ex-copywriting apprentice. Now, this was back in 2014 when she was cleaning my house when I lived in the Burgle. She was already a business owner. She was infatuated with my lifestyle. She was on my email list. The girl was like quoting me to her kids and her friends, which was kind of funny at the time. She would quote my emails to her friends. Friends started hating me.
Yeah.
So like that was an easy sell for me. And when we started dating, there was no resistance. There was none of that stuff. It was just a natural thing. And that lasted like 2 years. Okay. So understand something. There are girls out there who are looking just for you. You have to go after them. It's no different than marketing. Jeff, I don't really know what you sell. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure you don't try to market your product. And I know he sells a continuity type product. I know he doesn't market it to people who aren't interested in it. He goes after the people that are. And it's the same thing. Go find the Moniques out there. Okay. They're waiting for you. And when you do that, and when you start looking for them and you only pay attention to them and you show disdain to the other ones that you don't want, it just becomes a lot more fun and a lot easier. And, all this stuff that you're talking about, all this anxiety that you're feeling, it just goes away. So hopefully that answers your question. I spent a lot of time on that one, Jonathan, because again, like Monique's question, there were a lot of guys who asked very similar questions. And, I don't think they realize that they're in the same boat as a lot of other people, but it's just marketing. Sell to buyers. It's as simple as that. Like with copywriters, like they'll sit there and try to like pitch themselves to all these companies on why they need copywriting, right? And their eyes just glaze over. They don't know. They've never heard of copywriting. But if you go after clients already hiring copywriters and they're just looking for new copywriters, it's easy. Same thing. All right. Next question comes from someone I doubt even listens to this show, Jonathan, but I'm going to read his question anyway because I want the prestige and because I like this gentleman so much. And his name is Bob Bly. Whoa. Some of you may know who Bob Bly is. I mean, he's one of the biggest names in the copywriting world. He asks, in my online business, I rotate product offerings among the dozens of products I have. Some online marketers, i.e. you, Ben, seem to offer the same product, your email players, in 80% of their sales messages. I don't know many people who do what I do, actually, other than me and Sean D'Souza and Jonathan. I don't know. Maybe there are more than this. How many different products ideally should an info marketer have or offer to a list to sustain a high weekly revenue? Here's my way of doing it, okay? And I learned this from Sean D'Souza. I give him full credit. I always do. I'm like the big John D'Souza fanboy out there. Opt in, sell your flagship product. When they buy that, sell them other stuff. 90% of the time, that's what I do. I'll break from that every now and then when I sell something as an affiliate or I have something to launch or at the beginning of the month because I really don't want new email player subscribers the first week of a month because then they have to wait like 3 weeks to get their first issue and all that. So I'll sell some other stuff. But that's how I do it. All right, it's pretty simple. All right, next question, Jonathan, comes from one of your Podcast Factory hosts, Igor Kefitz. One of my favorite people. Kefitz. I knew I was going to mispronounce. I knew I was going to mispronounce that name.
I got you, Igor. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Igor, I do apologize. You know that you're my pal, and I would not purposely butcher. I would butcher other names. I would on purpose, but yours, I would never do that to. Igor Kefitz, right? That's how I say it. Kefitz. Okay, Igor Kefitz, the solo ad guy. Now, Igor is a solo. If you like doing solo ads and you're in like the biz op niche, he's the guy to go to. I mean, I've used him. His leads. I can only use his buyers, Jonathan, to get the kind of people I want because of the kind of the gene pool he's got on his solo ad stuff there. But I think he's a solid guy and he knows what he's doing. Very good at this. And so, if you like doing solo email ads and you sell to the biz op world, Igor's your man. Anyway, Igor asks. People are constantly on the lookout for techniques and strategies. There's a book for every problem. There's no shortage of great information. All secrets have long been revealed. So if you want to succeed, it's all out there, even if you're dead broke. There's no barrier for the knowledge-hungry individual. Yet, with all this great info available, I see the vast mob of people who say they want to be successful failing. I'm curious what you think about it, why it happens in your opinion. I think, Jonathan, I tell you, I've thought about this for a while. I think it all comes down to the people. Information is one thing, but you got to take action. So most people treat it like a gym membership, but they never go to the gym, right? Like, oh, I got my gym membership. I'm going to get in shape, but they never go, or they go once in a while. They go once and then, oh man, I'm hurting, and they never go again. That's what people, having books and knowledge, it doesn't mean anything. That's why I get such a kick out of these like gurus with their big book, here's my $10,000 library of books, and they're all like bragging about it, making videos about it, and you're getting all these freaking like losers on Facebook like liking it, and like they're all impressed with this guy's library. And how many books did he actually, how many of those books has he actually read? Or she, whoever it is, read cover to cover and actually understood and actually got a deal. Like, how many times did they read the best ones? How much depth is there to this whole thing? And also, are they applying it, or are they just using it to sell their own lifestyle to people so they can sell a how to make money thing? See, I would rather have 2 books on my shelf. And I have very few books on them. I should take a picture of my bookshelf, Jonathan. I think they'd be very disappointed, actually. I have very few books on mine, and because I don't want a lot of books. In fact, I'm getting tired, Jonathan. It really is starting to piss me off, and I shouldn't be pissed about this. I should be grateful for it, and that's why I'm in conflict over this, is people keep sending me books in the mail. I'm like, I don't want another freaking book. It's like, I'm not going to read this thing. I'm not looking for it. I'm on the second, or at the time of this recording, the second reading of Jim Camp's No book. I'm going to go through it 10 times before I read something else. It's going to take me probably a couple of years at the rate I'm, back to back to back. Absolutely. It's going to take me at least 2 or 3 years to do this because it's my bathroom reading. And sometimes I'm not always the best at like eating fiber. I'm like,
McCarthy's been replaced, huh?
Well, yeah, because I went through that book like 50 times. It was time for a new, something fresh, so to speak.
Really fresh.
something fresh. And so I get sent these books and people get like offended when I didn't read it. Oh, tell me what you thought of that book. Do they really think that I have nothing better to do than read some book I didn't want or ask for? No, at the same time, their heart's in the right place, Jonathan. Their heart is in the right place. And so I can't be like mad at them for it, but yet it irritates me. It's like when I moved to the Burgle and I remember when I first moved into this place, a freaking salamander was like crawling under the door. Or it was like some kind of lizard was crawling under the door. And I wonder what the hell, how the hell did this thing get in here? And it turned out the next door neighbor cat was bringing it, trying to like get me to feed it.
An offer.
Like that was his way of, yeah, he was basically the equivalent of the marketer sending me a book that I don't want. I mean, his heart was in the right place, but he was selling me something I don't want. So, and to make it even worse is I have the address on my website is not where I live. It's a Roseburg address. It's an hour and a half away, and I have my mail forwarded. And so I get this big envelope with like 2 or 3 clunky books in it, and it's just, Jonathan, my life is very difficult. It's very struggle.
Oh, jeez.
My first world.
The struggle's real. I got a question, though. I got to piggyback off this.
Yes,
because
go ahead.
One of the things I like to do, like I do with Doberman Dan all the time, is I see something and I'm like, God, this is so Doberman Dan. And I want to send it to him. You know, if he's interested, then I send him the book. So I have never sent you a book. So would it be better to just take a screenshot of what I thought was interesting and email it to you?
I think that would be a great way to do it. I also think that what you did to Dan, where you asked him, you know, I got this book, I'd love to send it to you. That's the way to do it, because then I can tell, and people have given me this courtesy. For example, Mike Young, the lawyer, right? I don't know if you know Mike Young.
Yeah,
he's an internet marketing
absolutely.
lawyer. MikeYoungLaw.com, great guy, excellent dude. I love that guy. He's great. He's helped me out in a lot of ways. Like he wrote a novel, right? And he's like, Ben, I'd like to send you a copy. I'm like, you can send it to me, but the chances of me, first of all, I don't read fiction. Okay, so instead of I'm like this, I'm reading this other stuff. I don't know if I'll ever get to it. And so, you know, he saved himself the time and money sending it to me. I don't have to like sit there and like, you know, deal with another book I don't want and all that. It's not that I don't want it. I know I'll never get to it. And if I don't pay for something, I don't value it. So it's just like, it's better. I always tell people, like, if I really want your book, I'm going to pay for it anyway, because then I'll actually like use it. Otherwise, it's just going to sit here in a pile, probably get thrown out, whatever. So I don't know. Igor, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think it's just a lack of action, and so be it. Next question is from a guy named Nathan. I don't know what his last name is. And he asks, Jonathan, have you found meditation or self-hypnosis to be helpful in setting your mindset and focusing for the day? And I'm just going to laugh. Enough said. Next question is from a guy named Fotis, whose name I cannot pronounce.
You got it right.
Last name I cannot pronounce. Here's my question. From Shameless Horror Stage, where you had, well, I don't know how to pronounce his last name is what I should say. I mean, it's, to me, that his last name is like so above my pay grade and reading level, like I can't do it. Here's my, so I don't know if that's a compliment to him or what, but it is what it is. From Shameless Horror Stage, where you had your ads laughed at, all the way up the level of Yours Unruly, what tips would you give your past self and others in order to accelerate success? I'm mainly looking for mindset shifts you had and big aha moments that cleared the bullcrap that prevents people from taking their life and success to the next level. My answer, and this is one part of what could be a very long answer, I think it's a great question, is consistency. Getting up every day, writing an email, okay, to your list of potential clients, because I know he's a freelance copywriter, so in his case, clients. You want to get people who are interested in copywriting, and believe me, clients are on all the best copywriters lists. Okay, they all are. There's people on there, and you demonstrate your knowledge every day. And I know this, he wants mindset, but there is no, that's it. The consistency is the mindset part. And you just mail your list every day, and I guarantee you will have clients coming to you. I guarantee it. This is how it works. As long as you know what you're talking about and you email, and he's an email player subscriber, Jonathan. So, you know, he'll be fine. He's going to be just fine. Don't really have, that's the mindset part, is understanding the power of consistency. This was an email player's rule. Consistency trumps proficiency, and keep that in mind. That's the mindset shift right there. Once you realize it's just a matter of consistently going out there and doing it every day. In fact, do the right things long enough consistently. This is something I heard the imprisoned Kevin Trudeau say once, and there's a lot of wisdom to it though. It's all about doing the right things long enough consistently, and you'll get to where you're going. One more question, Jonathan, before we wrap this Q&A episode up. And this is from Stephanie O'Day. She writes, I have a mindset question. I've done lots of very cool things with my business and am happy, truly happy with the success I've had and am working towards. I've got a good marriage, happy kids, great house, work-life balance, and all. So why do I revert to a jealous 12-year-old middle schooler when all the, quote, cool kids are spamming/promoting the new shiny object or seminar or workshop and I'm not invited? What's the solution? And do not say yoga. So she suffers from something that my ex-copywriting apprentice suffered from. And FOMO, fear of missing out. Jonathan, have you ever heard of that FOMO?
Yeah.
Fear of missing out. This is a very real thing that happens to some people. They hate not being included in things, which makes them they're not even realizing they're doing it. And I would guessing this would be Stephanie's case because they fear of missing out. They kind of get needy about it. And that neediness is what's driving people away. Nobody wants to do business with a needy person. And you may not even be outwardly doing anything needy. It'll just come across in how you interact with people. You won't even notice it. They may not even notice it. They just know there's something about you. Now, Jonathan, I have the opposite problem. I have phobia, fear of being invited. So it's hard for me to.
Phobia.
It's hard for me. I have phobia. I'm fear of being invited. I hate being invited. So I can't really relate to her too well, but I have known people like what she's talking about. I understand where she's coming from because, again, next copywriter apprentice had the exact same thing. She would really get mad when she's not included in things. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's how your personality is. I happen to be the opposite personality, and my personality pisses people off. But that's what my guess would be, Stephanie. You're putting out some kind of neediness there. You got to not need. I want you to. There's the book 48 Laws of Power has one of the laws, which is disdain the things you can't have. Like literally disdain the things you can't have. And you will find that everything will start to kind of reverse itself. For example, Jonathan, there was a girl in my town, that I asked out. Okay, this was a couple, I don't know, this is like, what is this, March now? And we're recording this, whatever it is. So this would have been like 4 months ago or something like that. And, she shot me down, Jonathan. I got shot down.
Shocker.
Can you believe that? Shot down. Actually, the reason I got shot down is because she already was seeing somebody, right? And so, what am I supposed to, I'm not going to, what can you do? You know what I mean? Whatever. But do I sit there and pine after and text or, try to call her out? No, I don't. I just disdained her after that. Okay. I want nothing to do with the girl after that. Nothing wrong with her, but you have to disdain the things you can't have. And that's the only way those things will ever come to you later. You got to let things go in order for them to come back to you. And nothing's going to come back to you until you let it go completely. And so it is with these joint ventures and all that. If you're trying to be involved in these things and their fish ain't biting, you got to disdain the fish and go focus on your own thing instead. Get the villain's book, read the part about having a mission. It'll all make more sense. So that's it for this time, Jonathan. Next week, I'm going to be talking about escaping the friend zone in both business and in life. So from the relationship point of view, and a merry time will be had by me, at least. I can't save all of you. That's it.
All right. That's a wrap for another bensettle.com podcast. We'll be back in your earbuds next time.
You've been listening to the bensettle.com podcast. To get your hands on a free issue of Ben Settle's prestigious $97 per month email players newsletter, simply go to www.bensettle.com.
This is the podcastfactory.com.